Eid is right around the corner, so skip the Mahmoud this year and surprise your Syrian friends with these Shaibeeyat instead. These are an Idlibi specialty, and nothing beats getting them hot and fresh from a street vendor in the streets of Idlib. But while we await our flights to Syria, here's how you can make them at home. Mix together some flour, oil, salt, baking soda, sugar syrup, and cold water until it forms a nice soft dough. Let it rest for 5 minutes, and in the meantime, I mix together some softened butter with baking soda and set that aside. The baking soda is optional, but it gives the Shaibeeyat a really dark, deep color, which is signature for Idlibi Shaibeeyat. Now back to the dough, cut it into 2 equal parts and roll each part into a log. You'll want to fold it in on itself and roll it really tightly to press out any air. Then cover it and let it rest another 5 minutes. Then we're going to roll each of those logs into a thinner baguette shape and then cut each of those baguettes into about 10 to 11 pieces around the size of something between a plum and a peach. This recipe makes anywhere between 20 to 24 pieces depending on how big you want them to be. I usually get around 22. Feel free to divide the dough up between the pieces if you feel like some of them are uneven. Next, you're going to grease each dough ball with a generous amount of oil and then place them in a greased tray. Make sure to grease the tops as well. You literally cannot have too much oil in this recipe. Now we're going to start rolling out our dough, so you want to start by greasing your rolling pin as well as your work surface. Roll out each piece of dough into a circle, and it does not have to be even by any means. Paint half of the circle with that butter that we made earlier, and don't be shy with it. Then fold it in half and grease the top either with the butter on your hands or with some more oil. This is a crucial step so that the dough doesn't stick to each other because you're going to stack them on top of each other, about 5 to a stack. Once you've gotten them all rolled out, you're going to let this rest for 2 to 3 hours covered. Then working with one piece at a time, you press down one end of it and then stretch the other end as far out as you can. And if it tears a little, don't even worry about it. It's not going to make any difference. Then you're going to roll it tightly from end to end until it looks like a cute little croissant like this. And this is what's going to create all those crispy layers. The further you stretch out your dough, the more rolls you have, the more layers you have. After you're done rolling them, they need to be greased from top and bottom once again, and then they need to rest at room temperature for 4 to 5 hours. Or what I like to do is rest them in the fridge overnight, and then I take them out of the fridge to come to room temperature for about 2 hours before I'm ready to use them. Then I grease my baking trays with that same baking soda butter from earlier, and I start shaping. Pull slightly from the center of the croissant and then stand the 2 sides next to each other. Stretch out the center of each side using your fingers to expose all the layers. Then give it a quick stamp with the palm of your hand and roll it out to flatten it. You're going to see all the pretty layers now, and we're going to flip over the dough so that way all the layers will be on the outside of the shaibeeyat. Then using your hands, stretch out just the edges of the dough and leave the center thicker. Add your ashta filling to the center of the shaibeeyat and then fold over each side. Then fold the corners in as well to fully seal it and flatten it out a bit. Then place it in your baking tray, and I'm gonna let you guys watch this one more time. Spread some more of that baking soda butter all over your hands and then dab that onto the tops of the shaibeeyat. Bake at 400 for about an hour or until they're dark and crispy, and then while they're still hot, douse them in some cooled sugar syrup. Idlibi Baba approved.
Very good job.
Taking pictures of them or no?
Yeah, of course.